Clash Royale was released in 2016, and ever since, a total of 119 cards have been released in the game. Broken troops, game-changing spells, special champions, and a lot of goblins. Today we're ranking the top 5 best and worst cards in the history of Clash Royale. Let's see if your favorite card makes it into either list. Starting off with the 5th worst card of all time, we have the Three Musketeers. Surprised? Probably not. I think we all saw this coming. Three Musketeers have never truly been good ever since Clash Royale's launch in 2016. Being a difficult card to balance, they've always struggled to find their place in the meta. Originally costing 10 elixir, the Musketeer trio used to be decent. Mainly used with giant and dual lane bridge spam decks, they were a force to be reckoned with. But what happened which led to their downfall? Well, as spells gained more popularity in the game, Three Musketeers became more and more irrelevant. Despite having their cost reduced to 9 elixir later on, the card wasn't able to provide the value for its high cost. Popular spells like Fireball and Poison would easily counter them. This always led to a negative elixir trade for the player using Three Musketeers. To this day, the card is basically considered dead. Can you guess what the usage rate of Three Musketeers is currently? 0%! As unbelievable as that might sound, it's true. As the card responsible for the deletion of the beloved heal spell, Three Musketeers have received no love in the last 6 to 7 years. The only way to save this dying card is by getting it an evolution, but even the thought of Three Musketeers' evolution sounds scary. At number 5 on the list of best cards, we have the Hog Rider. Arguably the most iconic character of the Clash universe, the Hog Rider is the symbol of consistency in Clash Royale. Ever since the game was released, the Hog Rider has always found a way to remain viable. A favorite win condition of many, the Hog Rider is played by both pros and casuals alike. It's currently used in 26% of the decks on ladder. That means every 1 in 4 players use the Hog Rider. 2.6 Hog Cycle has cemented its legacy as the greatest deck of all time. Even after 7 years, it's the most used deck in the entire game. But what makes the Hog Rider so great in Clash Royale? It's the ease of use and the fact that it's the most balanced card in the history of the game. The last balance change it received was way back in 2017, and ever since, the Hog Rider has always managed to get that one extra hit on the tower, despite dealing with so many rough metas. With multiple Hog Rider decks finishing number 1 in the world over the last few years, one thing is clear: the Hog Rider is here to stay and dominate the game for as long as his iconic cry echoes through the arena. Coming in as the 4th worst card in Clash Royale, we have the Sparky. The trash can on wheels. This time I'm not going to bore you with any stats about the card to prove how bad it is. I mean, it just sucks. It's slow, easy to distract, and takes forever to shoot. As soon as you drop the Sparky in the back, know that you just wasted 6 elixir for 0 value. Sparky has only seen a bit of success with Goblin Giant decks, but other than that, it's remained totally useless ever since it was launched. Combine that with all the bugs and its inconsistent shooting patterns, and you have one of the most hated cards in the game. Pros despise the Sparky, and even casuals have stopped showing it any respect. Being a tough card to balance, Supercell has refrained from implementing any balance change to the Sparky for more than 4 years now. And the result? The card gets dropped in the arena just to get countered. It's a hard card for you to synergize, but very easy for your opponent to counter. And if your opponent has a rocket, you've lost the match straight away. If I had a subscriber for every card that counters the Sparky, well then, I would have a ton of subs. Like and subscribe if you hate the Sparky. Ranked at number 4 on the best cards list, we have the Tesla. Probably the best defensive building in the game, the Tesla has always been an important component in a variety of decks. Logbait, Miner Control, Expo Cycle, Hog EQ, all these decks have relied on Tesla's defensive capability. In the last 9 years, Tesla's gone through 18 balance changes. 18! Oof! The Tesla has always been a reliable counter to both beatdown and cycle decks, and it does the job better than its competitor buildings. Its ability to take up only 2x2 tiles in the arena makes it more immune to spells like Earthquake and Fireball, which is a big reason for why pros prefer Tesla over any other buildings. Also, requiring such less space to deploy makes it perfect to pair with siege decks like Expo and Mortar. The Tesla Evolution was released a few months back, which solved the only weakness the card had. Normally, Tesla would struggle against swarms and charging units, but the Tesla Evolution came with a deploy deploy Pulse, which would stun and deal damage to all troops in a circular radius whenever the Tesla would pop up. This made the card even better than before because now it could counter pushes with even more ease. Tesla is the definition of reliability in Clash Royale, and it will continue to remain strong. Making it to the top 3 of the worst cards of all time is the Minion Horde. Ah, the poor minions. I bet you to name one single archetype that uses the Minion Horde. You can't! That's how bad the card is. And there is a single reason for the death of this card. Arrows! Arrows have almost always been in the meta, which prevented the Minion Horde from ever becoming mainstream. It's basically a positive 2 elixir trade for the opponent every time, and ever since Evolutions came out, Minion Horde just totally fell out of the meta. With so many popular cards countering the Minion Horde and giving positive elixir trades against it, there's absolutely no reason to use it. Nowadays, regular 3 elixir minions are preferred over the Minion Horde in every deck. The card has a horrible 39% win rate in grand challenges, which is further proof of how bad it is. Perhaps the card is somewhat viable in mid-ladder. That's because an over-leveled Minion Horde is not what you want to see out of your opponent, but don't let a couple of players using it distract you from the fact that the card actually needs a whole rework to make it viable again. How would you buff or rework the Minion Horde? Coming in at number 3 on the podium of best cards, we have my personal favorite spell, the Tornado. Why is it so good? Because no spell in the game provides as much value as the Tornado. This game-changing spell has been one of the most versatile cards ever since its release in November 2016. It's the only spell which is able to assist you in activating your King Tower by pulling troops towards its center. The Tornado is incredibly useful on both defense and offense. Pairing the Tornado with splash cards or spells is a great strategy to wipe out the entire enemy push. Combine it with Executioners, Baby Dragons, Wizards, Magic Archers, etc., and watch your opponent's push vanish in seconds. Also, it's a cost-effective counter to many swarm cards in the game. Despite receiving so many reworks throughout the year, the card has remained strong in multiple decks like Graveyard, Icebow, and Minor Control. Tornado has a 54% win rate and is present in 17% of the decks in Grand Challenges. This shows how broken this card truly is. Tornado's combination of utility, defensive power, synergy potential, and skill-based interactions makes it one of the most valuable cards in Clash Royale. Whether it's activating the King Tower, wiping out swarms, or turning defense into offense with splash damage units, Tornado is an irreplaceable tool in many decks. Moving on to the second worst card in the history of Clash Royale, we have the Witch. Poor old Witch. I wish I didn't have to put her on this list. But ask 10 people which is the worst card in Clash Royale, and I bet you that half of them would say the Witch. So why has the Witch been so bad for so long? In simple words, the Witch costs 5 elixir, which is too much for the value she offers. She has way too less damage, gets easily countered, and better alternatives for 5 elixir exist in the game. So it makes no sense to use the Witch, really. The Witch has undergone a record 19 balance changes, the most by any card in Clash Royale, and yet no change seems to make her viable. For the same cost, there are better options like Executioner, Electro Wizard, or Baby Dragon, which deal more damage and have better synergy with other cards. Witch's splash damage is underwhelming compared to other area damage troops. Her attack speed and damage are too low to handle swarms quickly, making her even less reliable. Spells like Poison and Fireball deal significant damage to her and her spawned skeletons, leaving her almost useless. Her low single target damage also makes her ineffective at stopping big beatdown pushes, which is a major drawback for a 5 elixir card. In lower arenas, players don't know how to counter her properly, so she seems strong. But in higher arenas, players have access to stronger counters, and Witch becomes a liability. Witch's high cost, low damage output, and ease of being countered make her one of the weakest cards in Clash Royale. While she can work in some very specific situations or casual play, most players avoid her in serious matches because better options are available. So what's to be done with the Witch? Only time will tell. As our top 2 on the rankings of best cards, enter the mighty Log. There's no list of best cards without the Log. The Log is considered one of the best cards in Clash Royale because it's cheap, versatile, and incredibly useful in many situations. The Log fits into almost any deck, whether it's Cycle, Control, Beatdown, or Siege. Its versatility makes it a favorite for players at all skill levels. A big reason for the Log's popularity is that it counters many annoying cards like Princess, Dart Goblin, and Goblin Barrel. Since these cards are very common in the game, the Log stays useful in almost every match. The Log also has a unique ability to push back all ground troops it hits. This helps in resetting charging units like Prince or Battle Ram, stopping them before they reach your tower. The Log offers so much value, all for just 2 elixir, which makes it affordable in any deck. Because of its low cost, it's easy to cycle quickly and use multiple times in a match. The Log has consistently been one of the 2 most used cards in the game alongside the Zap. The Log has a godly 36% usage rate in the game right now, and it doesn't look like it's gonna stop rolling anytime soon. Okay, the trophy for the worst card in Clash Royale goes to none other than the Barbarian Hut. Yes, this card still exists in the game. I'm sure most of you have already forgotten about its existence in Clash Royale, and I don't blame you. When was the last time you faced a Barbarian Hut in the game? Can't recall? Neither can I. The poor Barbarian Hut has been reworked so many times, but to no success. The card is literally more useless than the Hoggy Bank, and that's saying something. Barbarian Hut costs 7 elixir, which is a lot. Spending that much elixir on a single card can leave you vulnerable to fast, powerful attacks. It takes a long time to pay back its cost by spawning barbarians, so it's a risky investment. Spells like Fireball, Poison, or Earthquake can damage both the Hut and the barbarians, reducing its value and giving your opponent a positive elixir trade. Barbarian Hut also doesn't have good synergy with many decks. Most decks focus on fast, high damage troops or strong defenses, but the Barbarian Hut is too slow and expensive to keep up with these strategies. The barbarians are slow and easy to counter, so they don't create strong offensive pressure. They can also only attack ground troops, so air units like Baby Dragon, Minions, or Lava Hound can ignore them completely. The card has a 0% usage rate in the game. There hasn't been a single meta since 2016 in which the Barbarian Hut was completely dominant. At this point, many players are of the opinion that the Barbarian Hut should just be deleted from the game. What do you think? So finally taking the crown as the best card ever in Clash Royale is the Miner. Make all the nerf Miner memes you want, but that won't change the fact that the Miner is the best Clash Royale card of all time. With a 53% win rate, the Miner has been dominating the meta for over 8 years now. He's considered the best card in Clash Royale because he's versatile, cheap, and can fit into almost any deck. Miner's special ability lets you place him anywhere on the opponent's side of the arena. This makes him perfect for attacking weak spots like damaged towers or support troops hiding behind tanks. No other troop can do this, which makes Miner unique and very hard to predict. He deals damage directly to enemy towers. Over time, this chip damage adds up, especially in close matches. He can also destroy key cards like Elixir Collector while dealing damage to the tower. His low cost lets you cycle back to him quickly or defend while still applying pressure. Miner rewards smart players. Placing him in unpredictable spots keeps your opponent guessing and forces them to waste elixir on defense. Miner can also distract enemy buildings like Inferno Tower or Cannon, so your main win conditions like Hog Rider or Balloon can get to the tower. This makes him useful in both offensive and defensive strategies. Skilled players can consistently get value from Miner even in tough matchups. No other card in the game does what Miner does, and that makes him the greatest card to be ever released in Clash Royale. The Miner was quite hated by the community this year, but what other cards did the Clash Royale community love or hate in 2024? Watch this video to find out.